And we wrap up our Day 1 ESTO podcast with a quick visit to Alpena.
And our guest on this podcast, we head to Alpena. Mary Beth, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. We had a great drive down to Grand Rapids. Nice that ESTO is in the same state for us this year.
Yes.
Very excited to be here. This is my first ESTO experience. So when I was going through like all of the workshops, I wanted to go to all of them. So I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm excited to be here.
Well, we are excited to have you. And as much as I would love to start asking questions, Paige now lives in Alpena, so I feel like she should, she should be the one to kind of start this one off.
All right. Well, so I want to know, what are the must-sees, must-dos, must-experiences of the area?
All right. Well, I'll give you the quick rundown, and then we can go from there, any direction. So Alpena is probably most famously known for Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary, which is actually in the water, and it protects about 100 discovered shipwrecks and about 100 more that are yet to be mapped and buoyed and everything and studied by the archaeologists. And it's a place where you can go snorkeling, diving, kayaking over top of the wreck, stand-up paddleboarding. I grew up there, so out fishing is a great place to find fish around the wrecks. It creates kind of an artificial reef. But I had no idea there were that many off the coast of Alpena until the Marine Sanctuary was designated. So they also have the Maritime Heritage Center that goes along with that as an interpretation museum it's a hands-on active exhibit tree inside, so you can learn more about our maritime heritage in Alpena. And then moving on down the list, we're centrally located to 7 different lighthouses. Being on the coast of Lake Huron, we have 3 dark sky preserves, which I think you've been up to visit.
I have, yes.
And some other unique facts. We have about over 1,000 miles of shoreline between Lake Huron, the inland lakes, and our big river system on Thunder Bay River. It's kind of funny. I was watching Ozark, the popular series that everybody likes.
Yes.
And I think it was the very first episode, and they're like, over 1,000 miles, or we have nearly 1,000 miles of coastline in this wonderful area. And I was thinking, and I'm like, I think we have that much. We have more than that. Oh my gosh. So I was pretty excited.
Did you write a letter to Jason Bateman to start a new show called Alpena?
I don't know that we have as much money laundering opportunity in Alpena, but I mean, that's a good thing. So, going on from there, we have over 100 miles of groomed trails for biking, hiking, bird watching. And then fishing is another big thing that we do all throughout the area, all the way to Hillman, all the way up to Black Lake. The 4-county region around Alpena is really a fishing mecca. We have about 43,000 acres of state forest land that protect a lot of our area, so we have a lot of wildlife, and that creates, as a byproduct of being a nature-based city, that creates a lot of healthy waterways as well. So number of lakes. We've been featured on a lot of national fishing shows as a result, and our community was founded on fishing.
So, Mary Beth, for you said you grew up there.
Mm-hmm.
What was your journey to this role then? Like, did you always want to promote Alpena, or like, how did you end up where you are, like, quite literally where you are today?
Where I am today. Well, let's see. So my dad was in the military. They both grew up in Alpena, about a quarter of a mile from each other. They were high school sweethearts. And my dad joined the Army, and they left town, and we lived in a bunch of different places. I was born along the way in Kentucky, and then they lived in Germany with me for a little bit. I don't remember because I was too young. But after his service was done, they moved back to Alpena. So my mom was a teacher there, and my dad was a mechanic, and then later worked at one of the quarries. And my journey is marketing. So I went to Michigan State. I lived abroad a little bit, and then I think both my mom and dad were like, I don't know if you want to move back to Alpena. I don't know what you're going to be doing there, doing marketing. And I kind of feel like maybe they didn't want me living in their basement forever. So they were like, maybe you should check into teaching like your mom does. And I'm like, no, this is my thing. I love writing. I love telling people things they might not know. I like getting people excited about new things. So I worked for the regional hospital in Alpena, the community college in their marketing and PR department, Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary for a short time, and a national manufacturing firm called Panel Processing. And at that point, my I was on an interview a few weeks ago where they said, well, we learned that your husband was going to send in your resume if you weren't going to the tourism bureau. And so I don't know. And he said, this is it for you. You love your community. I had been doing a local kind of grassroots effort to get people excited. This was during the last recession. So when things weren't as good, and I thought, well, one of the things that every citizen can do is just have more self-confidence about their community and pick out the things that they really enjoy about living here, because Alpena has a wonderful quality of life. And being surrounded by so much water, it's almost, we have everything that every other community has, but being surrounded by so much natural beauty, it almost makes every day a little bit less stressful, because as you're going to your next meeting, you pass by the wildlife sanctuary and you can see swans swimming. You could take a kayak ride on your lunch break. You have lunch at the park and watch the birds. It really is a lovely city. It's full of outdoor adventure, but also just enough, peaceful relaxation areas. And as you're probably learning up there, we're kind of nicely isolated from what you would call bigger city living.
Oh, absolutely.
Less traffic.
Yes.
Yeah, we still have all the amenities, but
that's the best of both worlds, in my opinion. Yeah. One thing that I haven't done yet is it's the sunrise side, and I have not seen a sunrise over Lake Huron yet.
Oh my gosh! Well, I can help you with that.
But it's worth it, right? Definitely.
It was really funny. So I know you had come up for the dark skies,
yes.
And there was another time where we had MLive. We had you guys up, and you were doing some video shooting for us, and we wanted to get all the things, every single thing that was, super important about Alpena, our greatest assets, the things that visitors just really love. So that meant getting up to watch the sunrise at 5:30 in the morning. And then I didn't really think about it because this was our first time with this really intense itinerary. We ended the day at a park with the dark sky, which went to after midnight. I was like, oh gosh, maybe I should do this on different days. I'm getting a little tired. How are you guys doing? Everybody was a trooper, but it was like, we're the sunrise side and a dark sky community. So.
And the dark sky experience was I had wanted to do it for a long time, and it was incredible to actually be in a space like that, because you said it feels like it's less stress because you're surrounded by nature, but science is showing that it's quite literally less stressful when you're in and around nature. Mm-hmm. And then you don't quite realize when you're surrounded by lights and technology and buzzing all the time, when you go to a place where that's not even a factor, right? It's just not even there. Just how quickly you can see things you've never seen before in your life. Because even without the camera, I was seeing parts of the sky that I just had not seen. And for those who are listening and haven't seen the video, it was during Neowise, so it's literally raining meteors for the entire night. And you're seeing a lot of that stuff with your naked eye for the first time. It's an absolute. If you visit Michigan, and I know I'm doing part of your job right now, but if you visit Michigan or if you live in Michigan, that has to be on your bucket list to check it out. If only once, because it's
an experience.
It's such an experience.
And even though I grew up there and I lived out, we lived on a horse cattle farm. At night it was very dark, and sometimes we'd go out and we watched the northern lights at home. But we were in an area that had other farms around, so it wasn't super, super dark. But our dark sky park, so Neglegon State Park, Thompson's Harbor State Park, and then Rockport State Recreation Area, those are our we're centrally located at 3 of the official state of Michigan dark sky preserves. And I remember the first event we did at Rockport, it was during a meteor shower, the Perseids, and we did a twilight yoga at Rockport. Along the beach, you could hear the water. It was really spectacular. And as we were finishing up and, laying down and facing the sky, there were meteors going across. There's nothing else like it that I had ever experienced in my life.
So when's that happening again? So I can sign up. Oh my goodness, that sounds amazing.
So actually coming up, if you can find information online if you want to Google it, but the Perseid meteor shower I think peaks next weekend. Yep. But you can see it before and after. They go on for quite some time, the meteors. So yeah, anybody who's interested in coming up, those parks are open for that experience. And then we have lodging in quite a few places that are open 24/7 to accommodate those that are going to be out late. watching the stars.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how fascinating there are. And like the more you watch them, the more you see. It's like more keep coming out all night long. And
not only that, but I feel like your eye just gets more adjusted to the lack of light, that you can now see things differently by the longer you stay out there, you know?
Yeah.
You need to stay out there for a while, so don't show up at 10:30 and be like, we'll be out of here at 10:36, kids.
Was lame. Yeah. Yeah, give it a good go. Give it a fair shake. But some of you had mentioned, like maybe some things that people haven't heard of before.
Yeah.
So a few of those things. One, we are a great spot for sinkhole exploration. We have more than a dozen sinkholes. We even have sinkholes in Lake Huron.
Can I ask before?
Yes.
Okay, because I've heard about it. I haven't visited. I know what a sinkhole is, but what can I expect to go see if I visit a sinkhole, I guess?
So some people call them sunken forests because you'll walk up on this hole in the ground and it has vegetation growing down the side. Sometimes we have a lot of karst topography, which creates the sinkhole environment where there are different layers of rock. As it rains, some of the rock dissolves, and then once the underlayer is no longer holding it up, the roof collapses. So when we look down, we're looking at the top side of a roof of what used to be a cavern, and you can look in the bottom and see vegetation that isn't growing in that area. It might be growing, north of there because
really cool.
It's colder in the bottom usually. There are sinkholes that have water in them and fish. There is one place called Mystery Valley where sometimes it has water in it, sometimes it doesn't, and nobody really understands the process or why. Yeah, that's the mystery.
Yep.
And at Rockport State Park, we have about a dozen that are in a row there that are fun to explore. But also at Rockport, this is such a unique area. They have an abandoned 300-acre limestone quarry where you can hunt for 400-million-year-old Devonian fossils. So these are said to be fossils from when the Earth was covered by a giant coral sea. And it's fun. We take people out just rock collecting. There are a lot of rock hounds around the Great Lakes. And to go into this area, it's mounds of rock left over from an old mining operation. And the reason why they had to kind of abandon it is because the rocks were too full of fossils, so they weren't good for their cement process that they were using. Yeah. So you literally trip over them. And I've taken people out for, it's about a 10-minute hike back, and we'll spend maybe half an hour, and I'll show them a few samples, and then we'll get going. And you can take up to 25 pounds home with you. So people will have them in their shirts. They're I don't think it's over 25 pounds, but I'm gonna carry it back to the parking lot. And people just have so much fun. And then after a while, they're like, wow, you really do trip over them out here once they learn what to look for. It's a lot of fun. Fun for all ages, really.
Yeah, and Rockport's just a great spot all day into the dark sky, right? Because you've got the water there to play with, and obviously you can go rock hunting and then
lots of trails, and they have a bat hibernaculum there, which I know. Wow. I have never heard of such a technological word for. I still don't know if I got that right.
All good. We know what you're talking about.
There are 3 different species of bats that hibernate at Rockport in the old mining tunnels. So one of our local 4-H programs helped make some grates to cover the tunnels because people were going in just for fun exploration and disturbing the bats. But because there's such a significant amount. And I asked what a significant amount of bats is,
It's a good question.
It's about 100.
Okay. That's significant, yeah.
But 3 different varieties, and they hibernate there in the wintertime. So because bat health is really important, they're nocturnal pollinators, and they help control a bunch of other, species populations. This was considered such a significant area for it that they've built it into the park and their signage, and the bats have a safe place to go. And there are also there's a shipwreck off the coast, an old mining village, ghost town.
There's so many things I still need to experience.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Well, and you're underselling a little bit. The shipwreck is literally 8 feet.
It is.
I mean, it's right there.
It is. The first time I learned about the shipwreck was when I was with my husband, and we were on a jet ski, and it stopped working right over top of the shipwreck. And at that time, I was like, oh my goodness, we're right over the shipwreck. And it was a little spooky. But then I've been back a number of times. I think the last time we paddleboarded out and then snorkeled over top of it. And it's just really fun. And that's just one. There are so many shallow shipwrecks to explore there.
So you are here for the first time at ESTO. What are you looking forward to? What are you hoping to gather out of the next couple of days? What does this look like for Mary Beth?
So the main importance for me is that I leave with lots of things that I maybe only understand a little bit yet, and can explore more. I'm here to really just learn and hopefully network with some other folks in similar positions. I'm from a small CVB in a small town, so there really aren't a lot of other colleagues in my close area. So I am really excited about meeting other people from other states who might be in similar professional positions, and really learning, because so much has changed over the last 2 years. How we do marketing has to be different.
What do you mean? I have no idea.
Have you been hanging out at the Dark Sky Park this whole time?
The whole time.
Did we forget to come get you?
You forgot to tell me to come home. I just stayed on the top of the rock quarry.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's, we were excited when it was announced prior to all of the COVID experience. So we were really excited that they were still going to come to Grand Rapids, because that makes it affordable for us as a smaller CVB. Yeah. And I also brought my family, so they're going to check out Grand Rapids while I'm learning.
Awesome.
And they get to see Mom do something at work too. And so it's fun. We're here. We're excited. We're just looking forward to everything. I don't know what to expect because I haven't been here before, but I hear that's going to be great.
We are excited as well. So, Mary Beth, before we let you go, if people want to learn more about Alpena, where do they go?
They go to Alpena.
Yes.
First off.
Perfect, yes.
But if you want to plan a little, you can go to visitalpena.com.
Mary Beth, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.